Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, joined by Alex here, just the two of us for this edition of Development Hell Podcast. So, no Matt today, and we'll have the movie crew for our next episode. But this week, we're going to be focusing on our top films from the 1950s as a nice way to springboard us talking about specific decades of cinema. And it'll be interesting to see what we come up with for the 50s, which is like the idyllic time in America. And let's see what kind of messed up things they made in cinemas. But before we do jump into our main topic, as always, we start off these episodes with taking a look at some of our coming attractions. So basically, you're going to just have to take Alex and my word for it this time. So we'll see if we're going to greenlight some movies. You ready, Alex?
Yes. Yeah, Shane. Ready to see something new, man. We're midway through the summer, so it's time for something new.
Well, we're starting off fast with the day that we're releasing this episode on the 14th. We're going to get a new Netflix action film called Gunpowder Milkshake. And this is 3 generations of women fight back against those who could take everything from them. And this is starring Karen Gillan, who was in Doctor Who and also is Nebula in the Marvel movies. We have Lena Headey, aka Cersei Lannister, and Carla Gugino, who's in a lot of things, including Robert Rodriguez films and Watchmen. So, Alex, based off of the description with some of the cast, are you going to greenlight Gunpowder Milkshake?
I feel like I need to know a little bit more about it. I love the title. I do like the title. What's the runtime?
This is an hour and 54 minutes.
Okay.
And this
sounds like I'll greenlight it only because it sounds like fun. It sounds like a good time.
It's from director Navad Papashado, who I'm not familiar with any of his other works. Looks like he directed some of the ABCs of Death 2, which is a horror anthology thing. And looking at some of the other cast members, supporting cast, you have Ralph Ineson, who's in a lot of A24 horror films, Paul Giamatti, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, which has a pretty good supporting cast as well. I'm definitely going to greenlight this. This seems interesting. I haven't seen the trailer for it. I have seen the trailer for some of our other films. Obviously, they're not playing trailers like this in the theater because it's a Netflix movie. So,
yeah.
And so looking at this film, I love action movies, and as long as they don't put in tons of cuts and make us not be able to see what the hell's going on, it seems like a cool cast, and I'm down for it. So, and it's on Netflix, so I don't have to pay any extra money.
Same here. Yeah.
That makes that investment a little bit easier. And it looks like Matt might be joining us shortly. We'll see if he actually gets to hop on and talk a little bit about any of these films. So I'm sorry, I'm laughing because this next one. So we have Escape Room, Tournament of Champions. So first off, Alex, did you see the first Escape Room movie?
I did not. It doesn't, just right off the bat, it doesn't appeal to me. I mean, was there any saving grace to the first one?
So here's the thing, and obviously this is going to lead into the sequel, so spoiler alerts for the first one, because if you've seen the trailer for the new one, you're like, this seems bigger, because it's a horror movie in an escape room, and a couple, 2 people make it out at the end, and they find out that this is a global conspiracy going on, and now they're trying to take down the system.
Okay.
And a bunch of other winners are all caught in a subway with them, and then the whole city is a giant escape room of terror and violence. So we get this big scale sequel to Escape Room, which was a PG-13 horror movie. This one's being billed as action, adventure, horror, mystery, sci-fi, and thriller. Thanks, IMDb, with all of your tags. But this is starring Taylor Russell and Logan Miller, who were the 2 young actors from the first one that made it through. It has Deborah Ann Wall, who is from the Daredevil show,
Uh-huh.
which I really liked her, and India Moore, who's from the show Pose. So those are some of the people that stood out to me. The director, Adam Robitel, I believe directed the first one. So back for more. And directed Insidious, The Lost Keys. And so has the first escape room and one random Insidious sequel to go along with
Yeah.
it. So Alex,
No, that's not my style. It's
so,
funny. It sounds like that for the description of what you were describing, it sounded like, have you ever seen the Cube movies? They were Canadian movies.
yep. I
Yeah,
have the first Cube.
that's what it sounds like. And they were kind of like bordering on B horror movies,
Yeah.
And it was clever, but there was kind of like a glow, like a government, especially, and I think there was one called Hypercube, CubeTube, Hypercube, and the government control thing was a big piece of it.
I've seen the first one, and like this one's pulpier and I guess sillier, kind like it's
really?
the stuff that they came up with in the first one's absolutely ridiculous. And like this one just seems like bigger and even more ridiculous. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's a going back
That's
to
that's a
development.
red. That's I think I'm gonna send that one back, man.
Yeah, I didn't think this. Well, here's the thing. I never would have expected this kind of movie to have a growing sequel. Like I could see them cash cowing, like, look, it's the same thing except for new people. But like the way they set up the end of the first movie, like, oh, this needs a sequel.
Oh, really?
Because
Yeah.
like it's like who's been doing all of this? It sets up that mystery, and I'm like, I'm gonna see it, not really like excited to go see
Right.
this movie. I would send this and the first one back to development hell. They're just not the greatest.
Yeah.
Now for something completely different. And this is a sequel that has been what? 26 years in the making. We got Space Jam, A New Legacy. Forget Michael Jordan. We got LeBron James. And it looks like every single possible Warner Brothers property thrown into the background of this movie, including I saw Alex DeLarge and his droogies in the background of one of the shots in the trailer. I'm just like, oh, apparently there's the Wasteland, like Fury Road land, and like they didn't really explore a whole lot of that in the trailer, which the trailer's like you're getting another Space Jam movie, you have another excuse to have, like, but this is almost a 2-hour film.
Wow.
So I'm like, they have to be throwing a whole lot of crap into this movie, and I'm morbidly curious. But Alex, so are you going to greenlight Space Jam?
I have to green light it. I think it just sounds like fun. The first one was so much fun when you were a kid. This one, LeBron has been sort of competing in the shadow of Michael Jordan. So has everybody since then. And it makes sense that he, of all people, would take this role, and so, yeah, no, I didn't know what you just told me, but that sounds really interesting. And I think that that's going to pull people like you and me and people who are even older than us, of course, into it, because we're going to be more compelled by those movie references.
Give us all the properties. Make this Ready Player One all over again, except for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
To point out, this is from Malcolm D. Lee, who's the director. He directed Girls Trip and Undercover Brother, which I love. Girls Trip. That movie's hilarious. I remember watching Undercover Brother a lot when I was a kid because that was on Comedy Central a lot. But like Don Cheadle's the villain in this movie. I'm trying to see.
Cheadle. Wow.
Anthony Davis is in it. Damian Lillard's in it. Klay Thompson, and Diana Taurasi. and another female, like a WNBA player.
Oh, cool.
So they're not
That's the other
using
thing.
NBA players this time.
I'll say it right now. In the next 5 years, WNBA popularity is going to go up, up, up. I can see it right now. It's gonna happen. I'm not saying it's gonna be on the level with NBA, but
Mhm.
it's been like this for the longest time. I think it's finally gonna start to like come back toward the middle. I can definitely see that happening.
All
That's cool.
thanks to Space Jam.
Partially, and thanks to Space Jam. Yeah.
So, quick look at the IMDb score, which I also don't know how they verified that they saw this. But it has a 4.2 out of 10, and most of the reviews are 1-star reviews.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
I
We
feel
might
like
get this
people are
one.
just trolling, to be
We
perfectly
might
honest.
have this one wrong. I don't know. That's a lot of reviews, dude.
Ridiculous. Just to throw out a couple of films also coming out the weekend of the 16th. Die in a Gunfight, which is a Lionsgate film that's like a modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet, except in the context of a mob movie. I actually got a screener for it.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Oh,
So
nice.
I would recommend.
Do they do the Shakespeare or do they modernize the?
Oh, it's completely modernized.
Okay.
But Billy Crudup does all the narration to it, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. AKA Dr. Manhattan himself.
Oh, wow.
Fear Street Part 3, 1666. So that R.L. Stine adaptation from Netflix that's been coming out the past couple weeks. The third one comes out that weekend. Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain. I'm definitely seeing that the trailer for that documentary looks fantastic.
Wow.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was just saying, wow.
Yeah. It's from the same director of Won't You Be My Neighbor, which is the Mr. Rogers documentary. So like,
Right.
and I want your opinion on this one. So new Neon film. This is called Pig, which Nicolas Cage plays a truffle hunter out in the woods, and some people steal his prized truffle hunting pig. And he has to go back into the city, which he has shunned, to find his pig. And like, I got to screen it and hear Nick Cage be like, "Where's my pig?" was worth the admission. But so based off of that, Alex, are you interested in seeing Pig?
I would love to see that. How could I turn that one down?
Right?
I love Nicolas Cage.
And this is like a really good performance from Nicolas Cage too.
Yeah.
He only like cages out like once and like a little bit, but it made me laugh when it happened. This is like a serious film from like Neon, which is a really well-respected indie filmmaking production company. So I'm like, it sounds so ridiculous, the premise, but like this is like John Wick mythos level, except don't go in expecting the same kind of action.
Sure.
It's more of like a serious character study kind of thing, and like Nick Cage actually acting.
Well, it's funny because I know that truffles have become like a real delicacy over the years. Like people are spending like so much money for truffles and truffle related foods and dishes that have like, bits of truffle, ground up in them and everything. And so it's kind of funny they're making a movie about it. It's like gold for farmers. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I'm still waiting for the documentary, The Truffle Hunters, to make it around here.
Oh, yeah.
I can go see it because that was supposed to come out at the end of last year and then kind of been trickling through. Yeah. Now, heading to the weekend of July 23rd, we have two big movies. One from M. Night Shyamalan, Old. And so, just in time, Matt gets to share his opinion.
That is pretty good timing.
So, this is M. Night Shyamalan's latest film, and this is about a family. It has Gail Garcia Bernal and Vicky Krieps, who is in Phantom Thread with Daniel Day-Lewis. They take their family to a beach, and they see some other people there, like Rufus Sewell is one of the other parents on the beach. And then all of a sudden their kids start like drastically aging out of nowhere, including Thomas and Mackenzie, who's one of the kids, Alex Wolff. Matt, you're just in time for us to talk about the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old.
I want to see it.
So I also saw I've seen the trailer a couple of times for this one. This looks nuts.
Yeah, it looks really good. I know that he's hit or miss, and sometimes his ideas are better than the execution of his ideas. But this looks kind of cool. This looks like someone wrote a Twilight Zone episode plot, and then they brought it to a beach and they drag it out. I don't know. I think it could look really cool. It looks good. So
I'm also giving this one the thumbs up because I guess Glass didn't kill my Shyamalan hype.
The Village. Some people they said screw him at the Village, and some people like the Village.
That's harsh.
I know. I remember liking it, and then other people were like, "That movie sucked," and then some people hated. I know a lot of people hated Glass. So
I know, like, for me, Lady in the Water seemed to be the one that was like, "What's going on here?" And then, Last Airbender, and After Earth, and The Happening.
Oh, I forgot that he directed After Earth. Oh.
So like those three were like the torpedo films. But then I liked The Visit a lot. I thought it was a fun little film. And then obviously Split was like, Shyamalan's back.
Yeah.
And so Matt, what are your thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan?
I think, I mean, no matter how many bad movies he makes, like the moment that you watch The Sixth Sense, which he wrote also, like, oh wow, okay, like this guy has talent. Like, so I can't really, it's almost kind of like saying like Adam Sandler is like 100% terrible. It's like, well, you can't really say that because he's not just funny, but he's also like, he's kooky, but then he's also like off. And when he's angry or if he's being asked to do something, like he'll deliver, but no one usually really ever asks him to do anything, or he doesn't have to because he kind of, I guess he chooses his own projects. I don't know, but I don't know. I have a hard time with like saying like one person is terrible. Like Rob Schneider, maybe he's terrible. Maybe who else is terrible?
I was just reading an article about him on Yahoo with like a huge like tweeting about anti-vax stuff. So I'm like, thanks.
Oh, so he's terrible like in personal life too. Interesting. Oh,
I'm just like, who asked you? To be honest. Yeah, exactly. But like, I agree, Matt. And like throwing a quick thing about Adam Sandler, it's like nobody could take Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love away from him.
Which I saw like a month ago, Punch Drunk Love. That movie's fantastic.
I need to see that again.
Oh my god!
And also, like Philip Seymour Hoffman is in there, and it makes me sad because it's like he probably was more cool to me than Edward Norton was for like a long time until he passed. I don't know. Yeah, really awesome actor. Yeah, awesome movie.
I watched Mary and Max yesterday, which is an Australian claymation, like stop motion animation film, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was one of the voices in it. Movie was so this is very much like an adult movie. Like, don't be fooled that this is for kids because it's animated. There's some like crazy shit that they talk about in this movie, but Philip Seymour Hoffman was amazing, and I loved the film. I'm so glad that I checked it out.
So it was Charlie Kaufman who wrote it, right?
It's an Australian film.
Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. I was thinking of something else.
Oh, Anomalisa.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking.
Yes. Also not for kids. So don't be fooled. So it sounds like we're all on the hype train for Old. So hey Matt, do you want to give your quick thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy?
Terrible. Next.
So there you go.
We green lighted it. So
Terrible. Then you haven't seen Porky Pig rapping.
I did see that part in the trailer. I just try to forget about it.
I hope it's like a full 3 minutes long. I hope there's a sing-along part, and I hope anybody that pays money has to sit there, Clockwork Orange style, and watch it.
I will be watching on HBO Max. So thank you very much.
we're probably gonna watch. Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch an HBO Max too. Yeah.
Also, a quick side note: it looks like Black Widow made $60 million this weekend on Disney Plus renting alone.
Oh wow, just on Disney Plus.
And it made over $80 million domestically in the theaters.
Mm.
So I give it a really solid B
for
Black Widow.
Yeah.
The
movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The fact that it made $60 million just off of the premium $30 ticket. So my original plan was to go see that in theaters at noon today. And then Friday night, I'm sitting there like, I can't wait 2 more days. So I just rented it. I didn't rent it. I bought it on Disney Plus to get access. So that's why my day opened up earlier, because I wasn't seeing Black Widow. Because I saw it Friday, and I really enjoyed it, and I missed Marvel movies. But anyway, speaking of other franchises, our last big movie that we're going to give the greenlighting treatment or not to is Snake Eyes, a G.I. Joe origin story. And so this is a G.I. Joe film. It's from director Robert Schwetke, who directed Red, R.I.P.D. Wow, I'm a Allegiant, I'm a Divergent, I'm a lot less interested now. But it does have
Matt he broke his arm.
Yeah,
he has no more thumbs.
Samara Weaving's in this, but like Henry Golding, who I really, really like from Last Christmas and The Gentleman, is playing Snake Eyes. So like he seems cool. The action, honestly, in the trailer seems really cool. But this is a G.I. Joe prequel. And also, after reading what this director has done in the past, I really enjoy Red a lot. But like, to be honest, I feel like a lot of that has to do with the cast. So like John Malkovich and Morgan Freeman and Bruce Willis and Brian Cox, Helen Mirren kind of thing. So Alex, are you going to greenlight Snake Eyes?
I can't. The reason I can't is because I never had an interest in G.I. Joe. It just never appealed to me. And looking at the trailer, it's obviously not appealing to me. And it's not made for me. You know, if I'm 14, 15, you know, maybe it's made for me, or if I'm younger, but it's obviously not made for me. So I can't green light it because of that.
How about you, Matt?
I hope it doesn't get canceled for any reason, particular reason. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's not. No. But it is cool that maybe like, I mean, there shouldn't be so much space in between, but like this increase in representation, like that's super dope in terms of like leading actors, like looking like being of a certain background, like that's really dope. Hopefully this is kind of like not just like a blip on the map, but no, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Well, we're also getting Shang-Chi Labor Day weekend too, which I'm considerably more excited about. Even like besides the fact that it's a Marvel movie, but like what I saw in that trailer got me way more excited. That, well, like the action looks cool in this, and I like Henry Golding, but like we'll see. I wouldn't have greenlit this. I'm like, G.I. Joe fell flat on its face twice already. So like
that's why I was surprised to see the trailer. I was like, what?
I think Paramount just needs a win. So like they have Transformers, they have G.I. Joe.
Right.
I think they're just trying to like make something happen.
Well, business wise, I also wonder if they can release more toys? Is there a contract with the toys related to the film?
Merchandising. We're going to get Snake Eyes the flamethrower. Snake Eyes the breakfast cereal. So it is indeed G.I. Joe origin story, a search for more money. So there we go. Just to throw out a couple of films coming out, like smaller releases, Joe Bell with Mark Wahlberg playing a father who's taking a walking tour across America after his gay son commits suicide. Whoa. So this looks like a little bit more dramatic than some of the stuff that Mark Wahlberg has done lately. He does sing along to Born This Way by Lady Gaga with his son. So that was a nice little moment in the trailer.
Wow.
There's an Amazon film called Jolt coming out with Kate Beckinsale leading it. It's an action comedy. I'm down for Kate Beckinsale. I like Kate Beckinsale. I've only seen one Underworld movie, but I did watch the hell out of Van Helsing. So there you go. Mandibles. So I wanted to bring this up very specifically because have either of you have heard of the movie Rubber or Deerskin? So Matt's shaking his head. So Rubber is about a murderous tire, like just a rolling tire. And this is from a French director. He also made the film Deerskin that came out last year with Jean Dujardin, who finds this like really awesome coat and loves it so much that he has to kill everybody else with a coat and destroy their coats because only his coat could be the coat.
Oh, and the rubber tire is telekinetic. That's why I was doing the magic.
So I added it to my wish list because I also got a screener for Mandibles. So this is about two idiots who are asked to do a job. And along the way, they find a giant fly in the trunk of their car. And they decide what they're going to do is to train this thing so that they can make a bunch of money. It's so absurd and so much fun. I couldn't help but recommend it. So
what's the name of this one again?
Mandibles.
I'll greenlight that. That sounds amazing.
It's just weird enough to work. Yeah. And then the last one that I want to bring up is the new documentary Val, which is about Val Kilmer.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a joke. Really?
So there's a documentary about Val Kilmer dealing with all of his cancer stuff. And like, I saw him in a movie lately and
yeah,
it's really sad. And he's going to be in Top Gun Maverick, apparently. Really? Iceman's back, at least in some capacity. So
sure.
I'm interested to see it. It comes out in theaters on the 23rd, but comes out on Amazon Prime on the 6th because it's an Amazon original documentary.
Wow.
But those are all of our films. So it's an interesting 2 weeks of movies. I feel like the potential is there for some of these to be fun and a lot of fun, and also all have really terrible low sides.
Yeah.
So like we could be sitting here 2 weeks from now being like all of them were complete garbage. But at least like the big releases. But we'll see. We're banking on a Space Jam movie 26 years after the first one came out. We're banking on Shyamalan and a G.I. Joe reboot, origin story, prequel, whatever the hell you want to call it. So interesting times indeed. Oh yeah, and Escape Room. You missed that one, Matt. Escape Room, Tournament of Champions.
There is no champion in that theater that's sitting in. I saw the first one. I was not a champion.
I did as well. And I was flabbergasted by the fact that it turned out to be a giant conspiracy and set up a sequel to begin with. So there we go.
Nope. Also, I'm not going to explain it because it makes me embarrassed for humanity, but look up, just type it on Google, Lola Bunny controversy.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. Was it because they were complaining that she had baggy clothes on?
Exactly. People's people's unrealistic expectations and actually maybe even harmful expectations.
Of an animated bunny, yes. So like you have Zendaya and Zendaya voicing Lola Bunny, and people are pissed off that Lola doesn't have tight clothes and short shorts on. Because let's resexualize a bunny that they unsexualized for the sequel. So there you go. Fun stuff.
Alex, take your empathy hat off. Be angry at them. Don't.
I don't
Now-
have empathy. I don't have an opinion. Don't shoot me in the face.
So, and now for something completely different. So, shifting gears from coming attractions to movies that came out 60 to 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. We're going to be talking about the 1950s in cinema. So, each of us are going to have 3 movies or so that we're going to talk about. I guess to throw it out there, does anybody have any honorable mentions they want to throw out that aren't on their list? Their top 3.
No honorable mentions.
I was telling Alex this earlier. It just so happened that out of my top 25 films, exactly 3 of them are from the 1950s. So I'm like, I lucked out here. So that worked out nicely. Yeah. So Alex, would you like to start with your first?
Well, I could not think of a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about this decade. I've probably seen more than I realized, but the one that I watched recently was The Seventh Seal. And I think it was a Ingrid Bergman movie.
Yep.
And it's weird to talk about it because it's not an American movie. So it may not necessarily be reflective of what the 50s meant, you know, to America or to cinema. But I didn't even realize it was a 50s movie until we watched No Country for Old Men for your Lost in the Wasteland.
Yep. Welcome to the Wasteland.
Welcome to the Wasteland.
I need to stop being so confusing with all the names of all my shows.
Yeah. So I watched that because one of the YouTubers out there said that character, the death character in The Seventh Seal, was a inspiration for the character Anton Corbijn. Is that Sugar? Anton Corbijn. That's a director. That's another director.
Yep.
Who makes movies like he's still in the 50s. Yeah, so that character being inspired by death, and I watched that movie recently, and I think it's beautifully and darkly poetic, and I think it's definitely got a whole lot of existential dread in it, and but I also think that there's something very it feels like there's a fight for something very individualistic in it, which does relate to the middle of the 20th century. It does feel like there's something very, when he says, I thought the blood running through my veins belonged to me, you know, and he's trying to give his confession to who he thinks is a priest, and it actually ends up being death, you know. And so this kind of battle of like, does my life and the choices I make and the things I do belong to me, or do they belong to a higher power? And so that character, the Max von Sydow character, is very really resonated with me, and him going along and meeting these other, you know, characters. Some of them were like these ne'er-do-well characters, you know. One of them was like a family trying to raise a child, and you know, most of them get touched by death. Most of them don't make it, but before they do, they're all together, they're all together. I think there's something special there about that. It's like they couldn't escape death, but they could at least share those moments together and try to survive. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed that film.
I have my Criterion up there somewhere. And it has some of the most iconic imagery in film. Like, you might not know the Seventh Seal, but you know the look of death. And death playing chess with the crusading knight. And Max von Sydow was acting up until like a few years ago, which is crazy. Like him popping up in Force Awakens in 2015 at like 90.
Oh shit.
And still like going. And unfortunately, he just passed away, I think this year or late last year. And like the Dance of Death, just like all the imagery in it and the beautiful black and white. Ingmar Bergman had quite the year and quite the decade in the 50s, because like I just looked up some 50s films, and like even something like Wild Strawberries, which I absolutely love, was another film that he had that came out in the 50s. And I love The Seventh Seal. That's a great pick. Have you seen it, Matt?
I have not, but maybe I might put that on my watch list. Both of you, give it a letter grade.
Off gut reaction, A-.
That's one of those kinds of films where it's just like, that is a strong A right there.
Yeah,
that's like some like amazing classic European filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like I guess I say A- only because I think there were certain parts of the film, I think toward the end, that kind of dragged for me, where I felt like I wasn't really sure what they were trying to say with some of the side characters, but the main characters are so strong. And I think the beginning and the end are very strong, but it's just like toward the end, there's an area that doesn't quite. It's one of those movies that I probably watch a few more times though.
So the interesting thing about like this King of the Decade thing, like I was thinking about like the 50s, and like as you get maybe even like before, like I think maybe anything before 80s, then you start to kind of like lose people, right? Just because like things become like inaccessible, especially like a movie like this, which sounds like an art film. Like, what would be your pitch for those people that maybe, including me too, because I totally feel like this sometimes. I don't want to see anything black and white sometimes, or I don't want to see anything that is like, I don't know. Sometimes I just want popcorn. Like I just want like a garbage movie from my brain. I want my brain to kind of like.
This isn't one of those.
Exactly. So like, give the pitch for like how can you make this inaccessible sounding movie accessible to other people? What would you guys say?
The fact that this is a foreign language film and in black and white, I'm sure will have a lot of barriers for some viewers. But like, it's darkly funny. It's deeply thematic, and makes you think a lot about life. And it's such an interesting concept of somebody having to play death in a game of skill for his life. And like they spoofed that in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, when like literally William Sadler's character is Death from The Seventh Seal. And then they just play like a whole bunch of board games against him. And like that's a joke, because like Death plays chess in The Seventh Seal. It's something that has permutated so much of our culture, pop culture, that a lot of people don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. Like the whole entire like Black Hood of Death, like that's a iconic thing. And like the Dance of Death, I've seen like there's a whole entire skit spoofing this in Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. Like the John Cleese's death at like a table, like everybody getting poisoned by their food, and then like they spoof the Dance of Death thing at the end. And it's an iconic film. It's a deep film. Like you'll surprisingly laugh during it, and it has a lot of depth to it, and it has really strong performances. So I think it's something worth checking out, and I'm pretty sure it's like 90 minutes. So like it's not even that long of an investment. It's not like I'm trying to convince you to watch like Giant, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes, or Spartacus that I just watched, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes. But for the record, that did not feel like 3 hours and 20 minutes. So that's my pitch.
Yeah, my only pitch, I think my only pitch would be the one that was kind of given to me through that YouTuber, was that it was inspired. This inspired the, No Country for Old Men, a movie that like I'm like, oh yeah, that's an amazing movie. And once I kind of saw that in the review and connected that, like if I watch a Tarantino film, because he's always paying homage to someone, that will inspire me to go watch, the White Line Fever, I want to watch that now.
So you'll both appreciate this because you're both huge Tarantino fans. But I recently watched the 36th Chamber of Shaolin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's the actor in it is wearing he's wearing the Charlie Brown outfit that the one character in Kill Bill has, like, except he doesn't have like zigzag to make it look like Charlie Brown. And also it's the actor that's Pai Mei.
Right.
And and also the leader of the Crazy 88, because they're the same actor. And it was so cool. The action in it's amazing. Like, I care as much for the story. But I feel like a lot of those old kung fu movies and martial arts films, it's like I watched Way of the Dragon for the first time. I didn't watch that movie for the plot. I wanted to watch it because I wanted to see Bruce Lee fight Chuck Norris. Like, that's why you watch the movie.
You could have fast forwarded to the last 15 minutes.
You really could have. But honestly, there was some fun action in it and some fun Bruce Lee in it.
There's some good stuff. It's not like a waste of time. It's just like that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's literally the last 15 minutes of the movie, and boy, do they build up the tension.
Yeah.
Slowly getting ready, and Chuck Norris probably needs a shave.
That was always my favorite one, The Way of the Dragon.
Yeah. But anyway, hopefully we convinced you, Matt. So go check out The Seventh Seal. Wow. You can watch it on my Criterion collection.
Oh man.
Criterion makes everything better, right?
I picked up a Sid and Nancy,
nice.
Gary Oldman movie.
It's on my watch list.
Fantastic. I love that movie. I love it.
So I've never seen it.
But yeah.
I have, so to admit, I taught an extra class this summer, so I had some extra money, and I spent $550 during the Criterion sale this year because I haven't bought really any movies this whole entire year. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna go for it.
Cool. Oh damn.
I spent that much basically on like BS IKEA stuff. So nothing cool.
Yeah, I bought like almost 25 films with it though. So
25 films, so much extras. Do you like Criterion because they restore stuff, or because like I like it because the extras and because I love the box set, like the packaging. I don't know. I just love those two things.
I haven't really explored the extras a whole lot, but the packaging's great. There's such cool artwork with it. It's restored and looks beautiful, and a lot of them you can't find anywhere else, to be perfectly honest. So it's kind of worth the investment. But Matt, what is your first film that you want to talk about from the 50s?
All right, so I'll go a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but why not? The Ten Commandments.
So not on my list, but we will be talking about another Charlton Heston epic in a little bit. But
this movie is epic. Like
sure
everything, like how people, like the acting is like there's face acting and there's screaming, and then there's like the special effects that are like, but also like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess so. It makes sense. This movie, is it recent? Um, this movie is, I think, awesome in a sense where it's like obviously a lot of money went into it, right?
Yes.
And not just like the end, like not just even the end when they're like leaving Egypt, but like just Egypt and just realized, and then there's like the plague stuff, like towards like the early middle-ish stuff, whatever, and then it's just a great movie, and that movie makes you then, I guess if you're our age, then we probably used had to have seen like the kids movie. Like so if that's your parents or your grandparents movie, then the kid version would be The Prince of Egypt,
Yeah, from
which was
DreamWorks.
fantastic.
Yes.
Also excellent songs. Excellent songs in that movie. But oh, and then random fun fact. I think it's Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons is voiced by Hank Azaria, who is doing Edward G. Robinson
Yep.
impression, um, who is in the movie that we're actually talking about, Ten Commandments. But yeah, just a great movie, just really awesome. There's just like a lot of randomness. There's some stuff that like it's a PG movie, but there's a lot of stuff that's like, or maybe it's a G movie, but it's like, wow, that's kind of rough. Like people getting
Dark.
hurt. Yeah, people getting hurt in this movie.
Yeah,
like
kids die.
yeah, like Wrath, like Vengeful God.
Yes, vengeful God.
Yeah.
So you had me at Charlton Heston.
But like, yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, you had me at Charlton Heston because Charlton Heston is Moses. I watched this movie every single Easter. This was on the night before Easter Sunday every year, and I watched this every year. And this is a long ass movie to begin with. Just imagine on TV with commercials. So that was an investment. And you have Charlton Heston, you have Yul Brynner, you have E.G. Robinson, you have Vincent Price. Like, it goes like an amazing cast in this film, and it's one of the most amazing epics of all time. So there you go, the 10 Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille.
Man, those special effects.
Well, do you know how they made that work?
Say what?
So like they filmed water pouring into that and just reversed the film.
Wow.
I went to I forget what studio made it, but when I went to California, like they showed us like the pool that it happened. I was like, oh crap, yeah, really cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Well, oh, you don't remember what lot it was?
Shane, can you Google it? Can you? Because I'm always using my phone for the thing. Can you Google what studio that was in?
Was it Universal?
I feel like it was Universal, or maybe it might have been. No.
Paramount.
I don't know. Paramount. Boom.
Paramount.
Yeah.
There we go. I forget.
Nice. 10 Commandments. So we'll be talking about Charlton Heston and epics again shortly. But just as like a few, like as like I pulled up famous films from the 50s, and like obviously The Seventh Seal is here, The Wild One. I've dressed up as Marlon Brando from that quite a few times. The 10 Commandments. There was Sabrina, Anatomy of Murder, The King and I, The Blob, East of Eden. I love Forbidden Planet. That's not like the most amazing of films, but like, boy, was that some great early science fiction. Ikiru from Akira Kurosawa and Rashomon both came out in the 50s. Those are some good choices. Guys and Dolls, overlong. And Marlon Brando is not the greatest of singers, but it's still a lot of fun. High Noon. I mentioned Wild Strawberries earlier. 12 Angry Men come out. Godzilla, Night of the Hunter and Vertigo and Paths of Glory are all like really close to my top three.
Oh,
They're all great options. But so my number three is On the Waterfront. And I have loved this film since I saw it in college for the first time. And the Elia Kazan, amazing director, Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront. This is a deep, intense film with some of the most amazing acting out there. And whether it's Carl Malden as the priest that's trying to be the mover and the shaker, you have a really young Ava Marie Saint who's fantastic in it. Rod Steiger as Brother Charlie, Lee J. Cobb, who's like such a great like bad guy. He was he juror number 3 is like the big angry one from 12 Angry Men. He's juror number 3. And then of course Marlon Brando. Like this is Marlon Brando like off the charts. And just the scene with him and Rob Steiger with the whole, I could have had class. I could have been somebody, could have been a contender. And like that whole entire thing is like the most A+ acting you'll see in a movie. And boy, this movie and the climax of it so intense and well shot, and just that imagery of like Marlon Brando beaten to a pulp, dragging himself onto the dock to work. Right. And just, I think that's all I have to say about it. It's such an amazing classic. It's moving. It's impressive. The acting's amazing. So is the direction. So,
and I also wonder, Shane, if, and I have no evidence to back this up, I wonder if Rocky exists without this movie, because the way, whenever I see the end of it, like that last 5-10 minutes when he's beaten to a bloody pulp and he's still walking into work, I go, oh, this is the same sort of spirit behind Rocky.
Yep.
You know, it's a very different story.
Well, and the thing is, he's working for the mob who's like doing the pushing on the docks too, which like in Rocky, they're like, he's a nice Italian mobster. He's not doing many bad things, right? The guy who plays Chi-Chi from The Godfather, who's the mobster that Rocky works for. And it's like, there's so many influences. Like, I really, like, Sylvester Stallone had to be inspired in some way from On the Waterfront.
Which is fine, because it's still, it's a very different movie with a very different
yes.
But yeah, but still, like every time I see that ending, I'm like, oh man, you know, that they captured that.
It's like, what if Rocky didn't get that shot? Would Rocky wind up in the kind of place that Marlon Brando's character is at in On the Waterfront? But he got that chance. He fought Apollo, took him 15 rounds.
Right.
But like, it's so.
Then Ronald Reagan became president. Huh? What?
And then Rocky punched communism in the face.
Square in the nose. That's right.
Because America's made of scrap iron. Now we got into Rocky IV.
I'm sorry. I don't know how I brought it there.
The most amazing of American propaganda ever put to film. Because Rocky IV won the Cold War. Let's be real here.
That's right. The only true winner of the Cold War.
But yeah, so On the Waterfront, and the music, that score is amazing and triumphant. And like that whole scene where he finds Charlie and that truck's barreling down that alley at them with the score going, I'm like, holy crap. And it's start to finish such an amazing film. How about you, Alex?
I need to see that one again, man. Yeah. I really do. And
you're right about he's back.
You're right about Brando. In terms of the acting, that's the type of thing when you watch that, you like, because you know, I've acted in some plays in my time, and you want to get back into it after you watch that. It's like it's inspired. It's such an inspiring performance by him and the other actors around.
Yes.
So
Hey Matt, have you seen On the Waterfront?
I've not, but that is actually has been on my watch list for like a very long time. Is that a Criterion?
I don't know if it is, but I don't have it on Criterion. I have it on this special edition DVD here. But I'm a huge fan of this movie. I bought this when I was in college. I've had this movie for a while. But Alex, what's your next film?
My next film, it's funny because actually that was kind of one of my default films on those. The one I'm going to throw out there, I might not even have a number one.
That's right.
But the one I'll throw out there, because I have seen all the way through. Like that is when I watch some of the Brian De Palma stuff, because he emulated Hitchcock kind of in his own way. But Vertigo is really, really good. That ending is just like jaw-dropping and shocking and sad and tragic and all around. Just like, it's just kind of a mind fuck. But the movie has this kind of odd sense of sweetness to it in the beginning. Like there's something like, it almost feels like, everything could be okay here, everything could be all right. And the way it's shot, it seems like it's shot with a lot of light. There's a lot of color and like vibrant light in the movie. And so it doesn't feel like you're going to be watching a horror movie, but you end up getting a pretty cerebral, suspenseful thriller out of it. And so yeah, the fact that it was made in the 50s and it still holds up in the way it runs, I think is pretty amazing.
I remember seeing this in theaters with Matt and our friend Joe.
Oh yeah.
So I do remember seeing that in theaters for its 70th anniversary, I think it was. And that was such a great experience, except I wanted to punch the kids behind us in the face because they started laughing at the that existential crisis, that like break from reality that Jimmy Stewart has.
That colorful thing?
Which is one of the most haunting like animations I've seen in a movie. So those kids could go to hell. But like just the presentation of all of it with the music.
Hey, if they're listening, hey, fuck you, kids.
There you go.
Check the subscriber count tomorrow. There's gonna be like 3 people just like,
and then I got 50 more for calling out stupid kids. But this is my favorite Hitchcock film. And
really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
This movie is so complex and the characters are so flawed and broken. Like Jimmy Stewart, if you take all the context out, he's not exactly the greatest of guys here. Like he's totally like leading on his ex-fiance, which also she needs to take a hint, by the way, and needs to let some things go. But she's also a broken person. But the psychological trauma that Jimmy Stewart's character causes Kim Novak in the second half of this movie is disturbing as hell. And like you brought up colors before, that dress, like the colors are so perfect in this film and so vibrant. And I think that's why it's so important, because they say so much and represent so much in the film. And this messes with you. And what I love is this heavily influenced 12 Monkeys, and they even used it in the film. And there's a strain, like it has a similar kind of problematic and traumatic relationship psychologically in it. Because like on some level, it's like there's something messed up going on between Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak's character in the second half of the film. And the climax, when he's piecing it all together, he's scary. Like him dragging her up those steps and the whole entire thing, and like the whole nun at the end. Like, and that just leaves you gutted. Like you're just, what the hell just happened here? And even from a technical standpoint, all the matte paintings with like the tower and stuff like that, it's really impressive too. But yeah, I love Vertigo. This was really close to getting into my top 3. Because like, I would probably say this is, because like I took a quick look at my top 25. This is probably my top 30. It's like right on the outside. Any thoughts, Matt?
I liked it. No, it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. For me, like after when I was walking out of the movie, what I got out of it was I had been avoiding Vertigo for a really long time, and there may be like 2 other movies that I really, really want to see as a fan of Hitchcock instead of rewatching the same things over and over again. But no, I definitely did like it. My jam though, it has to be Rear Window.
Okay.
It's another great jam.
Rear Window, and then not 50's, but The Birds as second, and then like Psycho. Psycho doesn't really get in the number because Psycho is like a perfect movie, so that's almost like that's just there. But then, yeah, I would put those 2, and then maybe and then I'm like, and I'm blanking on a couple of other ones that I like of his, and I'm kind of mixing up some of his movies with that Hitchcock Presents TV show that he had that I used to watch because I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies.
So you just watch that instead.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my parents like, oh yeah, you can watch this, but just like it's scary. It's just no devil stuff. In fact, it was devil stuff actually, but whatever.
They didn't know that. Birds is not very high for me because the first like half hour of the movie, not really interested. Like,
wow,
it really takes a long time for me to get invested in that movie because like I'm like Tippi Hedren's great. I love Rod Taylor, Time Machine, stuff like that. I really didn't care about their like budding romance. The whole weird background with the school teacher, that intrigued me. That was starting to get me into the movie. And obviously when like the birds actually kick in, that movie's terrifying and has some of the most disturbing imagery I've seen in a movie, especially something that old. Like the one dude with like his eyes pecked out and everything is just like,
oh wow.
Or the gas station. Like when they're like, oh man, like don't smoke at a gas station, you idiot. And then like we were trying to tell him, and then it's just yeah. Terrifying.
Things and like it kind of reminded me of The Mist. I feel like The Mist picks up on some of that like crowd paranoia that like all of them are like that one woman who's like, they started attacking when you got here, and it's just like what's going on here? And wait, how it's shot, it's like it's through like Tippi Hedren's perfume, so you're just like, don't come at me, lady. And like once it gets going, it really gets going. It's just, it takes me a while because like Psycho, the first half hour of Psycho is really intriguing. Like, is she gonna get
What are you
caught?
about to say to me, Shane, right now? What are you about to say? I hear the butt coming.
Well, no, like the beginning of it's a really intriguing start compared to The Birds to me. Like, I felt much more invested. I'm like, oh my God, is she going to get caught or the cop's going to get her? And then it's just like, holy crap, she's dead. and then it's like a
Oh,
whole
okay.
other movie.
I'm about to jump through my Wi-Fi connection.
I'm sorry. You calling me? Goodbye. And Matt just like leaves. It's a really tough thing to change course that drastically in a movie, and like
transitions shifting like that. It's one of the. I mean, it takes a real master to be able to do that, and it also takes trying it and failing at it to sometimes getting to the point where you can do it well.
Well,
I think the actress was like a contemporary, like big deal. I think it was Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, and
yes.
apparently, I don't know if I haven't seen anything else that she's done, but like apparently she was like a really big deal. So that's another reason why that they were surprised that she died in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because like, wait, what the hell? Because remember you guys remember the trailer, the
Yes.
Psycho trailer, and he's like,
something
I won't let
disturbing
anyone in if they
happens
come
here.
in late. Yeah.
It's like, dude.
Also, like, I would love for someone to do that now. I won't let you see my movie if you come in late.
That is amazing.
They should make that rule.
I could think of one or two directors who would still be that way.
I would be that way. If you're coming in and the credits are and the trailers are over, don't disturb the rest of the audience trying to watch the movie.
Yeah.
People.
I can't remember if Tarantino's theater is like that. I was always there like 15 minutes early. I saw about 4 or 5 movies.
You have Bruce Campbell from Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Man 2 standing outside. It's like, the show has begun. Doors are closed. Is that Bruce Campbell? Huh?
Did he say that too? He says your shoes untied, and then
yes.
he's like,
your shoes are untied.
And he's like, no, but you still can't come in though.
I want Spider-Man 4 just so that I could see Bruce Campbell as Mysterio. That's what I want, because that's what that was building to.
Oh, really? That was the end goal with that.
He was supposed to be Mysterio, because like he's an out-of-work actor. Why he's doing all those weird, odd jobs. Sure. And stuff like that. Obviously, they went in a bit of a different direction in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Jake Gyllenhaal, but it is what it is. It worked.
I wanted to say there's a lot of Hitchcock that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Rear Window or The Birds, but I've seen Vertigo and Psycho. Yep. So there's a lot of stuff that I still need to see. Did Hitchcock have any flops? Because we give Shyamalan a lot of shit for having like, oh, he missed the mark. Like, did he ever miss them? We always talk about Hitchcock like he was just a grand master. Did he ever have flops?
I feel like there was points, especially after Psycho, probably where things started to teeter off,
dip down.
Because like I feel like most directors don't make it to the end very strong. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have a whole lot, because like Spielberg's going out there still making really strong movies. Scorsese just did some. I'm not going to say like Ready Player One was a great movie, because it wasn't.
Great book though.
Sure is.
And I feel like people overshadowed the book with the movie, and that book was damn good.
Yes. So don't do that, people. But like, look at Scorsese. Like The Irishman, Silence. Those are the last 2 movies. Mm-hmm. And he's in the middle of making the Killer of the Flower Moon, mm-hmm. which I'm excited about.
Oh, sure.
Both De Niro and
DiCaprio.
But like, I feel like, and like Alex and I were talking about this earlier, like John Carpenter. I don't want John Carpenter to be directing any more movies. He's literally directed 2 films in the 2000s, and the last one was in 2010. So he could just stop. And he did. So like, he did the score for the new Halloween films, but like, he's not directing anymore. I think some directors just realize, like, I don't really have it anymore. Francis Ford Coppola stopped. Mm-hmm. And like, which I think he dragged on for decades past when he was still making like great work.
Sure.
He also made fun of the MCU, and that's not cool. So screw him.
Sure. But we won't get on that. Crap. Whose was that?
That's more sensitive than the Lola Bunny thing. Holy shit.
So that was Alex.
With my pitchfork.
Matt, before you get your pitchfork, what's your second film?
Second film actually is Rear Window. I love that movie so much.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. That movie is like, you could look at it in terms of like the suspense, and it's like, okay, well, this is shocking. Also, like, camera flash versus murderer. I guess so.
Yeah, Perry Mason didn't stand a chance.
It's like oh, that's a heavy duty flash.
Flashball.
Yeah, but you could look at it. So you could look at it sort of that. You could look at it in terms of like it being kind of like a movie experiment. In sort of like it's all in one room basically, and you have to have someone like an actor, I guess, that can act, and like a script that's interesting enough where it's like you have to like, connect with this person. Like you can't connect with anyone else. Like it's like the shoulder. Like the whole movie is on his shoulders. Like I don't know. Or you can also look at it. And yeah, and then or you can also, in a third way you can look at it. I feel like one of us talked about this, like, Alex, was that you like a few months ago? Did you talk about, who talked about Rear Window? I don't know, it doesn't matter. But I think one of you guys said something about okay, yeah, something about the relationships. Because like an interesting thing about the movie is that he's hella bored inside of his room. So his life basically is like being a voyeur. Let's be honest, he's a voyeur. Like to like the house, like the apartments across from him, and kind of like figuring out not just like the murder stuff, but then also kind of like just like the pleasant and not so pleasant relationships that are happening, just like I don't know, just in front of him, kind of like he's watching his own movie, like a bunch of tiny little vignettes and B stories that are happening, just like for like very small spurts of time. And that's also kind of interesting, as long as you're not doing it in real life, because that's illegal. But like, I don't know, like that movie, it is so great. It is so interesting. Like, I thought when I first saw the movie, I don't, is this weird? Like I wanted to break my leg just so I can have a cast. Did you guys ever do that? Did you guys ever want like a broken arm, a broken leg?
I broke my leg, so I've had a cast before.
Oh, yikes. Okay.
So I broke both bones in my ankle in 5th grade roller skating. And I was cast for 6 weeks.
6 weeks. I was on crutches for 2 months in high school, but I didn't break anything. But wow. Okay. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Matt, you were on crutches longer than I was.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a break though. Like, like it probably was less painful than you.
Before I give my answer, I want to know why. Because, like, is it like what's that? Is it because it was just cool to be like the guy in the movie, or was it like that syndrome? What's that syndrome within psychology? There's something like you want to go to the doctor even when you don't have to.
Oh, are you talking about like Munchausen?
Yeah, much of Munchausen. Like, is it because of that sort of thing?
Or do you want an excuse to not leave your place and then just like watch everybody?
Well, I just wanted a cast, but I know I can't get it. I know I can't buy a cast. So I just wanted.
Well, if you really want to, you can just plaster like something on.
What is it about having a cast? What is it about having a cast on that you like the idea of?
I think. I mean, this was like a long time ago, guys. Too. This was like
felt left out.
4th grade. Yeah, like I don't know. Like maybe I wanted to I wanted to stay home from school. Definitely that. And then B, I wanted to have a cast. Say what?
I still went to school with a cast on my leg.
Well, I mean, it would have been hard, but like his whole leg was like shattered, like it was broken.
Damn. Yeah.
Like in the movie, like it was like
Yeah,
a full
that's
leg. It wasn't
okay.
a
Yeah,
boot.
my cast went up to like below my knee.
Yeah, no,
So,
like this was like a full thing. I don't know. It was just
and also this was the 50s. I feel like healthcare obviously was not where it is in like the 2000s when I had a broken ankle.
well, now it's worse. So probably I don't know.
Point to say, I think in some ways it's probably worse. Yeah.
I meant like
yeah.
like what medicine can do, not the accessibility of it.
The accessibility part,
There we
right?
go.
Right.
That could be a whole other conversation. But
The reason I asked is because when I was a kid, I remember, I don't know if it was like, because I used to watch a lot of pro wrestling. And so guys used to fake injuries, or they would
Bob Orton.
Cowboy Bob Orton, like he had a broken arm for like 5 years so that he could use the cast as a weapon in the ring. And so that was cool because it was like, oh, that's a shitty thing to do if you're a villain, you know.
Alex, were you watching WWE when Big Show had his cast on? It was like a human sledgehammer that he had.
Giant.
Yes.
Big Show, you know, fucking giant hand, twice the size of mine.
And Triple H had a match with him with the cast at, what was it? No, wait. New Year's Revolution? Yeah, 2006. And Triple H ripped the cast off. And like Big Show karate chopped Triple H's sledgehammer hilt in half with his broken hand and everything. Obviously, I watch a lot of pro wrestling too. But
I do remember. Yeah, no, that was brutal. But I do remember being like, I hope it wasn't like a thing where I wanted people to feel bad for me. But I remember there was something poetic or heroic about being injured. You know,
somebody went up to Alex and was like, "Breaking your arm's the coolest."
That's right. I thought I'd get a girlfriend or something if I was injured or something. Maybe that's
like sign her name on.
Yeah, a little heart. You know, I think that's where it comes from. Yeah,
that's totally what Jimmy Stewart was doing. That's how he got Grace Kelly. But like, yet again, Jimmy Stewart playing not the greatest of people in a Hitchcock film, because like he's a peeping Tom. He does not appreciate Grace Kelly enough in this movie, and it takes her like almost dying and putting her life on the line for him. It's just like, dude, look what you're dating.
Is she like his caretaker in the movie?
No, he has that nurse lady too.
Oh, okay.
Grace Kelly's his girlfriend.
Okay.
Like the really high, because like that's the thing, and here's the thing, their relationship's interesting. Like even besides the mystery and the intrigue of what's going on, like they could have just had a romance. Like I would watch a romantic film about the two of them, because like they're coming from very different perspectives. He wants to be around the world, and she's like high society New Yorker and loves going out to fancy restaurants and stuff like that, which he finds boring and contrived. And he wants to be out there in the action, taking those photos. And like at some point their lives are going to have to give. Does he want to settle in and stay in New York with her? Does she want to like up and go on these adventures with him? Does he want her to go on these adventures with him? Like there's all of those questions too in this film that you're thinking about, besides the fact that there's this murderous asshole across the way who totally murdered his wife and trying to do that too. So like,
yeah.
And like the sad lady who tries to commit suicide, and like there's so much going on in this film. And from a technical standpoint, like long before Soderbergh's like, what can I do next? That's weird and people haven't done yet. Hitchcock was doing it. Like, I don't know if I was writing a review for No Sudden Move, Soderbergh's new film on HBO Max. I really liked it a lot. If I had to give it a grade, I'd probably say like B+. he does this weird wide angle lenses for like the whole entire movie. And like he shot movies on iPhones and stuff like that. He was that kind of, Soderbergh's that kind of creative. Hitchcock was that in his time, where it's like, I'm going to make a movie where we don't leave this room. And like his whole thing was that whole entire neighborhood was on a set. They created the whole entire thing.
Wow.
Because apparently Hitchcock was like, I want control. I want to have my lunch. When I want to have my lunch, I don't want to be out and about trying to film this movie. We're going to do the thing. And it was a very interesting thing. Rear Window is a great choice. Look at all the Hitchcock.
I need to see that. I'm that's it. That does it. I'm going on a Hitchcock. I'm going to start watching more of his stuff.
And then to watch this team to The Simpsons, there's a whole episode where Bart it takes the place of the main character from Rear Window. Yeah, just look for it and then watch that episode. It's a really good episode.
What does he think?
I'm not even
Landers murdered somebody?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's like, but nobody believes him, and then he's kind of like losing his mind slowly inside of his room. Yeah, it's an awesome episode. I love that show.
My number 2, we're going the Western genre now to 1956's The Searchers. And this is by far my favorite John Wayne film and my favorite John Ford film. And this is a strikingly beautiful film. Like Monument Valley and everything is in its glory in this film. And John Wayne's Ethan Edwards is I would argue, his most complex character he's ever had to play. This man is a rebel. He never wanted to concede the Civil War. He fought for the Confederacy. He's a racist. Even to his own kin, played by Jeffrey Hunter, who's part Native American, he hates him for it. He's totally digging on his sister-in-law, like 100%.
Oh.
Like there's moments of that towards the beginning of the film, and he's cold and callous. And this is like whole other level of John Wayne here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds like John Wayne he wanted to start playing John Wayne.
Well, and honestly, if he deserved an Oscar for any of his films, it was this.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, True Grit. True Grit's fun. Like, he's a fun, over-the-top Rooster Cogburn. Jeff Bridges is a better Rooster Cogburn, but I'm just going to leave it there. But John Wayne is amazing in this. Like, you have Natalie Wood when she was 15 years old.
Wow.
Playing, because like the idea is most of John Wayne, Ethan Edwards' family and Marty's family are murdered by Native Americans, and the 2 nieces are kidnapped. And this is a 7-year journey for them to try to find the nieces. And there's one particular scene when John Wayne comes back from finding something really tragic that I've never seen John Wayne that emotional on camera. And like him just being like, what do you want me to tell you? You want me to paint you a picture? And like, just like, you could see tears welling up in his eyes, and they're like the intensity there. I'm like, look at John Wayne go in this movie. And it has all the trappings of a great Western, but it's much more complex than that. And it has one of the most amazing closing shots of any film ever, with him standing out in the desert. Everyone else walks through the door, and the door slowly closes on him because he doesn't fit into this new world, this new West. And he's standing there vulnerable, like holding his arm like this, and just standing there and like slowly walking away as the door closes. And it's like such a symbolic and beautiful shot of really capturing the complexities of who this character is and how he doesn't fit into civilization anymore, because he has so much more in common with these like brutal, barbarian Native Americans that he thinks are savages than he wants to admit. And like, who's worse? This tribe that murdered his family, or him who murder and do whatever he needs to do to accomplish his mission. And this is a really complex Western, especially one for the 50s.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And like this is the same decade High Noon came out, which John Wayne said was un-American because it painted like Gary Cooper's character was weak. And it's so John Wayne's such an interesting.
Weak in the face of what exactly? Weak compared to what?
Because he was willing to leave the town and he needed to go begging for help. That's the kind of perspective John Wayne had. It's just like, if I were that sheriff, would have went out there by myself. And that's the thing. That's the perspective that John Wayne played. And like most of his characters were very much that. And what's so interesting about The Searchers is it takes a much darker edge to it. And it goes to some dark places. So even if you're not a fan of Westerns, this one's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that sounds like a really raw movie. Is it black and white or color?
It's color. Oh, it's beautiful in terms of its cinematography.
Especially for a Western. It's hard for me to watch a black and white Western because, you know, it's all about the scope and the, you know.
Yeah, I could see, like, I accidentally bought 2 copies of Stagecoach from the Criterion sale. I didn't realize that it got put in my cart twice. So if anybody wants a copy of Stagecoach on Criterion Blu-ray, let me know.
There's also a Simpsons reference to that too. Type in Simpsons Stagecoach.
There's literally a Simpsons. Type in Simpsons reference to anything, and you'll get something.
Simpsons
and that's why they've been on for 30 years. So,
and I love it. I love all 3 decades.
And they're still going.
South Park's been on for. I was trying to get to sleep. Went to a concert yesterday. Was trying to get to sleep last night. And the guys in the room they were playing. There was like 4 episodes of South Park. Like I kept waking up to like absurd humor. Like I was like laughing in and out of sleep. You know,
that's gonna hate me, but I like South Park more than The Simpsons.
Okay, I'll see you later, Matt. Have a good night.
Bye, Matt. So
I turn off the camera. You just hear things just like glass breaking and like.
We come back and you're like stiffly walking around like Charles Foster Kane from that like baby tantrum that he throws in Citizen Kane, where his wife leaves him and he's just like flipping everything. That's Matt. That's going to be Matt after we're done recording because I offended him. But Alex, you have another film.
I do. I don't know if I do, man. I'm unfortunately, I think I might just have to default on the waterfront for this one. Okay. You know, I'm sorry, but I know we talked about that one, but what this conversation is showing is that there's a lot of good 50s films that didn't just reflect like golden era, you know, you know, Hollywood, you know, like
watch all those big musicals.
Yeah, there was a lot of that this decade, right? Like a lot of the popcorn, you know, take your girl on a date to the musical sort of thing, you know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't go out for that sort of stuff, especially old musicals. It's just not my bag.
Yeah, so I'll pull up some of the nominees from the 50s, but Matt, what's your next one? Your final one? You go, Matt, dance away.
He makes me kicking, Alec. Let me see. I guess I'll split it between a sweet movie and a movie that I hope I guess the franchise never dies because I hope it just can't. I'll go Lady and the Tramp because that movie is awesome and really cute. I was about to I wanted to go Peter Pan because for a few reasons. Like one, like that movie's just awesome just because it makes you like imagine more. Like what if you didn't age? I don't know. But so that's really cool. But Lady and the Tramp is just a really sweet and cute movie. That's all. And I completely forgot that movie was even made in the 50s. I was like, I wonder if there's like animated movies that I like or that I remember liking. And I don't plan on buying the DVD for Lady and the Tramp or Peter Pan for that matter. But both of those movies, they're just like they're just really awesome. They're the type of movies that like you watched in school, but it wasn't like a bore to watch. Boom, awesome. And I'm happy that that's the old one and not the recent one, because the recent one, I didn't like the choice. I didn't like the dogs that they chose. It looked cringy. I didn't watch the movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Action one?
Yeah, the live action one.
Well, that was a Disney Plus original, so like that's only on Disney Plus.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was fun. Like when they keep remaking these animated films, they realize we can't make a live action hour and 15-minute movie. So then they're like, crap, what do we have to add into this? And like
that's the problem.
Well, and there's very few that I felt like they really added quality things into, like Jungle Book. I think the live action one is better than the old animated one. And Jon Favreau made a great film. There were some things that they added in Beauty and the Beast that I liked. But like the song Evermore, great addition. And there's some things that they added that I felt like were good, like clarifying that he wasn't like a little boy when he was turned into the Beast, because that witch would kind of be a bitch. Like, hey, look at this 10-year-old being a bratty 10-year-old. You're turned into a beast for eternity. Like, that's a little much. Like, come on, lady. But like they made some changes. Lion King was literally like the same movie. And it's just like, why did I bother watching this? Except worse. It wasn't as good as the original. I don't know. But Lady and the Tramp's fine. But like the original like animated film's a classic, and it's such a cute movie. So I could definitely get that.
And then the other one is Godzilla. Fantastic. Fantastic. Godzilla. I love Godzilla so much. Like I've watched many Godzilla films, and
Me
from
too.
like the 80s ones, the 90s ones. I've seen boom, the Criterion one. Yeah,
this is part of my $550 that I spent.
Dude, like I've seen Shin Godzilla, but this movie, the whole like the only I feel like the biggest downside about this movie, the classic Godzilla, like the first one, is the fact that like the atomic breath, it looks like a fire extinguisher instead of atomic breath. But besides that, like just the idea of the movie where it's like, what if the consequences of war, like what if that actually kind of like came back not just as like the generations of people that have like serious health issues, or there are certain parts of like the country that weren't like inhabitable, and just like the trauma
It's
of
America.
that. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, because of America, like specifically. Like, I wonder, like, they took all of that and they said, okay, why don't we take that trauma and we turn it into like a creature, like the consequences of war being like a literal being that rises up out of the ocean and then like attacks people. And before it started turning into more of like kaiju fights, which are also really awesome and I really like them. Like just that war parallel, like it's really deep, and I don't know if it's lost now. I don't know if a lot of people think about that, or you need to think about it to enjoy the Godzilla movies. But wow, it's a deep movie. It's really cool.
Well,
really
and
cool.
that's the thing, Matt. They had interesting human characters too.
Yeah, that too.
If
like
you're going to make a giant monster movie, spending a bunch of time on humans, make them interesting.
Mm.
And then you won't mind the giant monsters not being there the whole time.
Like, that really means something. Like I was a Jurassic Park fan, and then some random person in my family said, "You ever heard of Godzilla?" And I was like, "Well, what's Godzilla?" Well, it's this giant thing that it's just this giant lizard. This is before the '99 movie came out, so I was like, okay, so I'll watch it. Yes, why not? And then, whoa, it's a monster. Like if there's a monster movie from decades before you were born that can hold your attention, especially if your interest in like giant lizards is something like Jurassic Park, where people are getting like bitten and there's blood and there's gut, like there's something special about your movie.
See, for me, that I've never seen it, and I haven't really watched any Godzilla movies because the actual what I've seen from like that early 2000s Godzilla, that doesn't appeal to me. What you're saying about it being a reflection of the trauma that the country experienced, I'm assuming in the wake of the atom bomb.
Yes, 100%.
That is essential to watching the film. You cannot watch it. I'm sure you can watch it and not think about that, but why would you? So that's like, for me, if I was going to watch any Godzilla, that has to be, I have to watch it through those lens in order for me to really get invested.
I compare it to Rambo, because like the original Rambo was a much different thing than everything that came after it.
Yeah, it's a hard movie to watch, actually. Like, I saw the first Rambo, and it's like
First Blood.
I only thought Rambo was like the Rambo 2.
No.
And I'm like, oh wow, like, oh, he's homeless and sad. Damn,
Yeah.
this is rough.
Well, did you hear Tarantino has thought about remaking the First Blood as his final film? And he wants
No, just stick with gangsters. Damn it.
I think Tarantino wants all of us scratching our heads. I'm not going to invest any more time, and he's got like 15 other ideas because he's a dork. I love his movies, but he is a dork, and he's got like 15 other ideas for what his last movie is going to be.
Maybe
he's not going to do any of
them all and stop jerking us around.
He's jerking all of us around completely, and he loves it.
Well, he mentioned that he would remake the original novel, be true to the novel, have Adam Driver as John Rambo, and Kurt Russell as the sheriff. And I'm like, I would pay to see that immedially, but I know it's not going to happen.
It's not happening. It's not happening. I mean, Adam, if he wants to, no, it's a great idea. If he wants to pitch it, like be executive producer on it, that's one thing, but that's not what he's going to do.
All I have to say is I will not listen to a damn thing that he says until I see a trailer.
Exactly.
Or set photos.
When he started
actual film being directed.
Right. Well, when he starts talking about Kill Bill Volume 3, oh yeah, I got all these great ideas. Go, she's going to have a sister. And, I'm like, shut up. No.
Like, having my
that was good, actually. That was good.
All right. Yeah. Suck a dick, No.
Which he did indeed say to everybody who has a problem with Bruce Lee and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
I have like multiple problems with Once Upon a Time. We should talk about that like offline one day, about like why I don't think that's like the greatest movie. But
no, we should do that. We should do that on the World Wide Web. We should. I think it would be great.
Oh, yeah,
we'll talk about it
because I'm sure that I agree with you in some of what you're saying. I'm sure I do, and then I think other things are like, well, all right, whatever.
It makes me feel some ways, but like I'm gonna leave it at that for right now because we have one more film to talk about.
He's a dad. Could you imagine like leaving a toilet seat up and you're like Quentin Tarantino's son? Could you imagine?
So, my number one of films from the 1950s, which has nothing to do with Quentin Tarantino at all, but does have a very strong link to one of Matt's, is 1959's Charlton Heston-led Ben-Hur.
Oh.
Winner of winner of 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor,
Damn.
Best Director William Wyler, and a whole bunch of other stuff. This film is an epic that not only has scenes on the high seas of ship battles or the chariot race,
Wow,
which is one of the most amazing action sequences ever put to film, but it's a deep-seated film about faith. When they used to make faith-based films that didn't look like garbage. Like, this actually was like, this is based off of a novel from Civil War General Lew Wallace, Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ. And this Jewish prince losing everything, having taken all away from his best friend, who was a Roman, and seeking revenge. And along this way, finding his faith again, because he is a Jewish man and he is a prince of his people. And the whole entire reason that he got put in this place in the first place is because he wouldn't sell out his people to the Romans. And it is an amazing epic of amazing proportions. And Charlton Heston is one of the most powerful presence ever on film. Like, does he have the most amazing range in terms of the roles that he played in his career? Not necessarily. But, like, he knew how to emote and grab the attention of his audience. And he is fantastic. Stephen Boyd, who plays Masala, his best friend, is fantastic. And it's like, you want the prototypical great historical sword and sandal epic, it's Ben-Hur. And there's a reason it won 11 Academy Awards. And tied for the record with Titanic and Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Because no other film has won more than 11 Academy Awards. And I watch this film at least once every year or once every 2 years. And like, this is one of the most impactful films. It's been in my top 5 since I was a kid.
damn.
This is like almost a 4-hour movie. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched this movie. So there you go.
Where can you watch it? I know that's super random, but where can you watch it?
Well, I have it on DVD, but
Shane's
where you
house.
could potentially watch it, I thought it was on HBO Max.
Shane's house.
Huh?
What happened, Shane? No, Alex made a joke. No, what happened, Shane?
I thought it was on HBO Max at some point, but you could rent it, it looks like. Or you could borrow it from a friend who is offering. So...
You are only 30 minutes.
Yeah, I want to. The ones I'm circling for this episode are Ben-Hur, the original Godzilla, maybe The Searchers, and then everything from Hitchcock.
Everything, all Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Just to give a quick rundown, I looked up all the films that were nominated for Best Picture in the 1950s to give a little context. Ben-Hur won 59. Anatomy of a Murder was nominated that year. Gigi and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof were the big films in 58. Bridge on the River Kwai. That was really close too into making my... This was so tough only picking 3 of these because I love that film. Alec Guinness, William Holden, just fantastic. 12 Angry Men. I Can't Believe Around the World in 80 Days won Best Picture over Giant, The King and I, and The 10 Commandments.
Wow.
Marty, which is a great little human drama with Ernest Borgnine in it, On the Waterfront. From Here to Eternity, Julius Caesar, Roman Holiday, and my namesake, Shane, came out in 1953.
53.
Which
that's a black and white Western, right? Oh no. Oh, okay.
That's also in color.
Yeah.
That's a great film too. High Noon, The Quiet Man, An American in Paris, Streetcar Named Desire, All About Eve, and another one, Sunset Boulevard. This was really hard. I love a lot of films from the 50s, I guess. Sunset Boulevard, I love. I took my mom to see that in theaters for Mother's Day for its 75th anniversary 2 years ago. So that's the 50s, though.
Can you sell me on a movie?
Hmm?
Can you sell me on a movie, Shane? Can you sell me on Spartacus?
Oh,
Talk about that.
I could tell you to wait until Friday at 1 o'clock when you can tune in to Welcome to the Wasteland when I talk about Spartacus, but I'll tell you right now. So this is 1960 film.
In opposition of Ben-Hur, because in my mind I haven't seen either, but in my mind I always like mix them together for some reason. Well, because I haven't seen them, that's probably why. But yeah,
I think there's a different power struggle because like Ben-Hur is a man of power and authority at the beginning of the film, and he has a fall from grace. Spartacus is a slave, and he breaks his chains, and Kirk Douglas is intense as hell. I think something that goes much deeper is the politics of ancient Rome that Spartacus goes into. I just rewatched it on Friday, and it's so intriguing. And the supporting cast with Laurence Olivier, Charles Lawton, Peter Ustinov, it's really intriguing, fantastic acting. There's spurts of action. It's not really an action movie because like it's still a Kubrick film. Kubrick doesn't really show a whole lot of action. There's violence. There's one particular scene where, so you, Matt, do you know the scene from Hunger Games when Katniss like shoots her arrow up at the people like judging her and stuff like that?
oh yeah, I can almost, yeah, I remember that.
And she scares the crap out of them. That's right out of Spartacus.
Oh, okay.
Spartacus loses a fight in the gladiatorial arena. And instead of killing him, Woody Strode's character, this big, lanky, trident wielding slave, turns around and just chucks the trident up at the camera. And it's such a great shot. And he tries to rebel, and like Laurence Olivier stabs him in the back of the neck, and all this blood shoots up, dripping down Olivier's face. And I'm just like, okay, this movie went there. And like that's like those are like the Kubrick moments. Like you could definitely tell that there was something like deep seated there, but like this did not feel like 3 hours and 20 minutes. There's a really endearing and engrossing love story in it to go along with everything and Kirk Douglas carries that movie so well. And it's so interesting because he's like Mad Max. He doesn't have a whole lot of lines in the film. It's all about his physicality and like the politics going on, like Julius Caesar's a character in it because like it takes place right around the time where Caesar's gonna usurp Crassus and Gracchus and take over Rome. So like this is kind of laying those seeds. And like I took 5 years of Latin. My great grandfather was from Rome. I care a lot about like Roman history and stuff like that, and it really intrigued me in that way and how it played that politics game.
Wow.
Think Gladiator, except more of a heart and a little less bombastic kind of thing. There's a lot more action, obviously, in Gladiator. There's tons of action in Gladiator. But like, there would be no Gladiator. And to be perfectly honest, I don't really think there'd be Braveheart without Spartacus.
Right.
Because William Wallace is basically Spartacus, like more or less. And that's like that scene, the whole I'm Spartacus, watching it in context of the film, it's an extremely moving and impactful scene. But yeah, so that's Spartacus.
So what would you have a favorite between both of those? I know both of them are, I know one isn't as 50s movies. Do you have like a favorite with one of those, or you can't really compare them?
Between Spartacus and Ben-Hur?
Yeah, or you can't really compare them.
Ben-Hur is still my favorite. But like this is I've watched Ben-Hur like 10 plus times in my life. Like I've watched that quite a few times. This is my third time watching Spartacus, and I feel like I love it more each time that I watch it. And maybe at some point I'll love it even more because like I like going through all these Kubrick films, and it sounds like both of you will be joining me for A Clockwork Orange potentially.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a fun conversation because Spartacus is pre-getting weird. Stanley Kubrick. Like starting next week when I start Lolita, we're on like a whole other level here. And Lolita, Dr. Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut.
I learned that dance. Yes, there it is from Barry Lyndon.
And they say white people don't have culture. So, but yeah.
I don't want to say anything, so I don't want to get canceled. Like John Wayne got canceled last year or 2 years ago.
Finally.
You know, there's tons of people that will defend John Wayne to the death. So, like,
can I say something?
Finally?
Yeah, I said he finally got canceled. It was a long time coming.
He was really
like,
putting on Twitter on his phone, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's do this." And then he like tweeted a bunch of stuff. It's like, "Oh, wait, no, you can't say that anymore."
Oh, are we not recording anymore?
No, we're still recording.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Tune in for the after show to find out what Alex was going to say. But this was
I'm broken.
I love that.
And on that note, this was a fun dive into 50s cinema, and I'm guessing our next time we have our regular show, we'll probably do 60s, which then we're going to get to some deep-seated rebellious counterculture probably, but we'll see.
It's a government scheme, man. It's government. It's all government. It's all Big Brother.
So we're remaking Trial of the Chicago 7, and Alex has been cast as Abby Hoffman.
LOL.
Big Brother. It's all Big Brother.
There we go. Sacha Baron Cohen.
There it is. That's better.
But Alex, Matt, thank you for joining, and thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting the Development Hell podcast.